Gotcha.
Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Ruffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like and or subscribe on all social media platforms. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Sal, the vocalist of Sworn Enemy. Known for their high energy sound that blends elements of metal, hardcore, and thrash, Sworn Enemy has been making waves since their start in the late 90s and have toured the world. I'm excited to speak to Sal about the band's origins, songwriting process, and what's to come in the future. Sal, what's going on, man? Thanks for being on here.
Hey, what's going on, Chris? How you doing, man?
Appreciate you coming on here. Remember, when I started this up, I was like, definitely want to get you on here and talk Sworn Enemy. You guys, I think back a little like from the late '90s, we knew each other. You guys were under the name Mindset, and then you became changed to Sworn Enemy. And I remember you dropped Negative Outlook on Stillborn, and then it just blew up from there. You guys toured everywhere, videos on MTV. I mean, it was just everywhere, and you guys played relentlessly all over the place. So definitely psyched to have you on here to talk about some of that stuff and then what lies ahead in the future. Actually, no pun intended with the name of the podcast. I didn't even mean to do that.
What lies ahead?
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that like that. But Sal, why don't you talk a little bit about what led you into music, but then heavy music, and then how it built to hardcore, and then if you recall what your first show was.
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, a lot of my friends they listened to rock and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. Like that was like heavy at the time. I never listened to that stuff. Like I was more like into Phil Collins, The Police. I like I like stuff that was on the radio. And then a friend of mine one day, I remember it was raining, and we would walk into school. And when it used to rain, they used to let us into the school early, so everybody would sit in this big auditorium. They had seats, and he had this Defenders of the Faith sticker on his loose leaf. And I'm like, dude, what is that? It said Judas Priest on it. I'm like, holy, what the hell is that shit? And and he told me what it was. He let me borrow the cassette. I went home, I listened to it. I was like, yo, that is awesome. So then, right there, I could thank my friend Ray for introducing me to heavy music, and that started my downward spiral ever since.
And then from there, obviously, it led to it's funny. It's a lot of people I talk to here. It's like metal, and then it leads to other bands. So after Priest, and then I'm sure Metallica and all that kind of stuff. What were some of
Yes.
the first hardcore bands or
Well,
adjacent hardcore bands that you got into?
well, here's how I got into hardcore. I mean, the Anthrax was playing a show in the city at was it the Beacon. They were playing with Armored Saint and the Cro-Mags. I never heard of the Cro-Mags before, and first time, 16 years old, seeing the Cro-Mags play, you're like, holy shit, I got to go buy this album. It's amazing. Like you never seen a live show like that in 1987. You know what I'm saying? It was just beyond one of the greatest experiences ever. Like, and still to this day, I mean, I'll always say it in any interview. Age of Quarrel is the greatest hardcore record ever made, in my opinion. And they were just unbelievable. Like they tore the stage up, and I went and I bought the Age of Quarrel at the show, and you know how it is when back in those days we all read the thank yous.
Yeah.
Whoever they thanked in the thank yous is who I went and bought all their records, and that's how I started getting into the hardcore scene. Because I was like most people, I was a metalhead when I first started listening to music. I started listening to like Slayer, Exodus, Anthrax, Testament. I listened to all of that stuff early on.
Yeah, and then it obviously builds from there. So you get the Cro-Max CD, you're reading the thank you. It's funny. Like I did that. Other people I've spoke to on here, that's what you did. You looked at the bands they thanked.
Of course.
That's how it was. You weren't sure searching Spotify back then.
Yep.
So you look at bands and stuff. And what got you more into it in terms of like, okay, you saw some bands. What do you recall the next show that you went to after going to that one?
I think it was actually probably it was Anthrax with the Ozzy when State of Euphoria came out. They played the Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not sure if that's exactly the next show, but I know that was 88 around that time, like right after going to see that show. I remember that show was in the summer, and the Anthrax Ozzy show was in winter. I think it was like January or February. I can't really recall, but I remember being cold. I know that for a fact. So that was
Italy went.
probably that was one of the next few ones I went after right after the Cro-Mag show.
Cool. Yeah. And then from there, built. And then it's like, all right, this is every weekend what I'm going to be doing.
That's it,
Um,
basically.
yeah. So that's around 87, 88, 89, give or take. From what I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mindset, formerly, before it was Sworn Enemy, was that around 97 you guys started?
Yes,
Yeah.
97 exactly.
So, all right. So you got a little like 8, 9 years in between there. Were you in any other bands at that point in time?
Nah, it was. I mean, it was always the same guys, just different names. I mean, we started playing, but we were nobodies. I mean, Mindset was the first real thing that we ever had music for.
Hmm. Yeah. And then you
So
had, right, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say. So for Mindset, we would that for 2 years, and then the name changed, and then we became Sworn Enemy.
Yeah, it became Sworn Enemy. So, how did it form though? Because did you just meet everybody at shows, or Sworn Enemy, or Mindset at the time? How did it just? Because
Well, one
I
of the
remember at that
original
time,
guys,
New York hardcore was popping at that time.
of
There was
course,
yeah. So, but what made you like? Okay, let's start a band. Let's get moving with this.
it was just like neighborhood friends at first,
Mhm.
and then I mean, not to be like, can I curse on your show?
Oh yeah.
Okay, not to be like a dick or anything, but some people don't cut it and some people do. So you stick with the ones that did cut it, and the ones that don't, you just you kind of weed them out and shit. And
Mhm.
a friend of ours, mine and my original bass players, introduced. Do you ever hear of the band called Eminon?
I
Do you
have.
remember a band from the early '90s called Eminon? Well,
Yes.
they were, in my opinion, they were so ahead of their time, and they were amazing. And the guitar player said he's got a protege that he's working with, which turned out to be Lorenzo Antonucci.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, look, if he plays anything half as good as you play, Pete, I'm all about it. So
Mhm.
he introduced us, and and me and Larry we just hit it off, and that was it. Then we started, the other guitar player, Mike Raff, who actually has the Sworn Enemy tattooed on his hand, who's the album cover for As Real as It Gets. His mother and my mother grew up together. So I've known him my whole entire life, and that was an easy choice to make him another guitar player. So from there, we found drummer, and then we found a bass player. So after my other bass player left.
Mhm. And then you started playing shows and stuff like that. So, how long was it before you guys released your first demo?
Mm, 97. I mean, we were Mindset, but we put out that. Well, it wasn't our first demo. It was. Actually, did that come? I forget which came first, our demo or the new amendment thing.
Is that the Newfound Hope comp?
Newfound Hope. Yeah, yeah, that thing. That
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
I'm not sure which one came first, but we did put a 3-song demo out. I think that was like 96 or 97. And then we did the Newfound Hope or whatever it was called. I don't really recall. My brain is
Mhm.
shot at the moment.
It's a long time ago, right?
Yeah. And
So,
then we
yeah.
had 2 songs on that. And that was when we were still Mindset. Then we put out the 7-inch on Back to Basics with the crazy guy.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody we all, had releases on that one. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, you did that, and then I was it around because we played together in 2000 and you were under the name of Sworn Enemy.
Yeah.
So,
We
it
changed the name in
released
99.
99, 2000, and then it
Yeah.
really like, Mindset was taken off, but then Sworn Enemy took off. It really, really did. You guys dropped I'm going to say it was the EP on Stillborn Records. How did that get connected with Jamie? I mean, obviously everyone, everyone, knew Jamie from the scene, obviously. Hatebreed was huge back then, but also supported everybody. But you guys were clearly friends with him, but how did that work out with that EP?
Well, I mean, we got lucky. So we were recording Negative Outlook, and we knew that Jamie had a label. I mean, because obviously, if you know who Hatebreed is, you know Jamie. He had his own thing going on, and we were playing a show with them in Brockton at the. Do you remember the 1-to-1 Club?
Yeah.
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 So
Massachusetts. Yep.
yep. So we were playing a show. It was a really good show. It was Diecast, Hatebreed, Shadows Fall. I forget who else, but those were the main ones, and you know Larry and Mike went up to Lorenzo. They went up to Jamie and asked him, "It's like, yo, look, we're recording. We're gonna have an EP finished. Would you put it out on Stillborn?" And he was like, "Yeah, no problem." And it was just that. That was it. It was that easy.
Yeah, yeah, he was super supportive with that stuff. They
Absolutely.
remember printed up merch. I mean, he just hooked up shows. He was great because we did a split with Voice of Reason on Stillborn, and he was as he was as helpful as anybody could be, and he didn't have to be. Like that was the reality. Hatebreed was like
Exactly.
really taking off at that time, and he really was. So you guys put that out, then you dropped another album out. I remember a little year or so after that on Stillborn.
Yeah, the Integrity Defines Strength EP
Yeah,
with
yeah,
three new songs, and it had the live recording from CBGB's, which was supposedly Madball's last show ever.
that's cool. That's cool that you got to play that, but I'm
Yes,
sure and more after that with them.
yes, absolutely. So yeah,
So
then we put that out.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Sworn Enemy. So you guys have had a couple of different members throughout the years, but you've actually been the driving force, obviously, the entire time. How do you guys go about writing material? Now, it could obviously have been different from 25 years ago as it is to
It's
maybe the
totally
last EP, but why don't you talk a little bit how maybe the writing process from back then is different now? Like, did someone come in with a song and then you guys collaborate?
it was
Yeah, how did
always
it go?
we would jam and we would write new stuff that way. Like we would all get together, everybody as a we would come together for practices, and then we would be like, okay, well, somebody would either Mike or Larry would be like, yo, I got this riff. Let's work on it and see what we come up with. And that's how we wrote a lot of our stuff, you know? Like Mike and Larry would both call me up and be like, yo, listen to this riff. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I'd be like, yo, that's cool. Yo, let me come over. Let me write some lyrics to that.
Mm,
You know, so that's how we would always do stuff back in the day, which is totally different process now. Like the guys in the band now more or less come to the studio with finished product, and you know, if it needs a little tweaking here or there, whatever, we'll work on that. But they come with songs already done. Like we never had songs back in the day. Now we
mm.
have songs done, which is for me, it's a totally different process. It's like I always liked to be there for the music writing, you know, but now it's like they just come and we work on it like that.
Do they send you through a voice note or text you, hey, here's an idea of a song, and it gives you kind
No,
of
I
an
don't get
idea?
anything.
Yeah, you know, you hear it when
I
you
don't
get
get anything.
there.
They don't. They
So
don't. They don't give me shit.
yeah, they don't give you anything. So maybe that's actually, it's like you walk in, it's good, you hear it, and then do you have now lyrics? Are you
I
someone
do.
who writes lyrics out and then okay, I'll come and then I'll put the flow of them over the song when you hear it,
Yes,
or that's how it works typically?
I do now. I never used to. I used to like to write. You know, to I would hear them writing the song in the studio, and I would get ideas and inspiration that way. You know, now it's like it's a different process. Like I have to write everything beforehand, so I'm ready for when we go to the studio to record. If and when we do record,
Mm.
like I have stuff ready for the songs. You know what I'm saying? Like when they give them to me.
Okay. Do you ever, and you may have answered this and I apologize. Do you ever, like, something's going on? It's like, you feel like you have to write about it,
Of
even
course,
though you don't have the music, but you're like, something's going on and I want to put my
yeah.
pen to
I
paper.
mean, a lot of stuff I do write about. You know, you could just watch the TV and you'll see like a lot
Sure.
of stuff is current events, news that's going on around the world. You know, and of course, I just put my own interpretation on things, how I see it. You know, it doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean it's right, doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. You know, it's how I'm see that's how I'm viewing it through my eyes, and I just jot it down on paper, and people hear it the way I see it.
Right. Now, do you feel like because you have a lot, the lyrics, I like the lyrics a lot from you guys and from back in the day, from even the newer stuff like that you've put out.
Right.
It's kind of what you described. Um, do you have certain themes in mind, or is it just how you describe? There's things going on, and like I'm talking about.
I just talk about it basically how the thing. Let's say I catch something on the news and it piqued my interest. You know, I'll dabble a little bit further into it, and then I'll just jot it down and start working on it. But
Oh,
I mean I usually don't get the finished product till I get some music, because it's for me I need the music. It's so hard to write without feeling that, you know, the music behind it.
yeah, it's true. I've had lyrics too. I know what you're saying, and then a song will come in. I'm like, oh, I'll use it for this, and it just doesn't. like I'm
Right.
trying to fit it over it. It just doesn't,
Yep.
it doesn't work
Yeah,
at
how
all.
many times have you had a song where you thought lyrics would be okay for that they gave you, and then you try to make it work, and it's like beating a dead horse. You can't make it work, man. It doesn't happen, and you got to go back to the drawing board and write something new for this.
All the time. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, for
same.
sure. Now, do you ever write any music for the band, or that?
I've had ideas for riffs from back in the day. I did for like the earlier stuff, but nothing really major anymore. Like on As Real as It Gets, I maybe had like two or three riffs on the record. Nobody ever knows that, but I never really go and tell people that either. But
Yeah,
I did. I came up with three ideas, and they actually used them.
cool. That's good. In terms of also when you guys are writing songs, I guess also like the structure of some songs, like, and every song's different. And you guys have a lot of songs now, so it's hard to pinpoint within one. But were there songs that you guys wrote, you went into the studio and you were like, you know what, maybe we should shift this part here or move that part there, or was just what you walked into the studio with is
No,
essentially how you recorded?
no, we've changed a couple of songs on the fly. I remember I mean, in particularly these tears when we were recording that, Jamie was in the studio with us, and he goes, well, "Why don't you make this more like a bouncy beat instead of the beat that you have going to it?" And we tried it out, and the riff just
I liked it.
it worked, man. It was like that was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something that we're not opposed to. If somebody says, "Hey, look, try this," we will more than happy to give it a shot, because if it's going to make it better, why not?
Right.
And that's the one thing I always said that was great about Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying. He produced three of our records. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever anybody has any thoughts about the guy, I don't care about his personal life, but what he did for me and Sworn Enemy as a producer, he did what a producer is supposed to do. We went into the studio with stuff, and he said, "Well, if that didn't sound good, let's change it. This didn't sound good, let's change it."
It's
And I'm
honest.
like, wow, that's at first I was opposed, because I'm like, oh, this guy's a dick. He's trying to
Yeah, you
fuck with
hear
me.
that, you're like, what are you talking about? Right.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But after we did a few changes on some stuff, it was like, wow, what a fucking that's an awesome change. Like the songs wound up becoming some of my like on beginning to the end, Forgotten. I think that's the opening track, and like we basically just restructured the whole song right there in the studio, and it just came like I disappeared because I was aggravated and agitated, and then I came back. I listened to this. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. It
Yeah,
sounds
you're
great. Yep.
right. Yeah.
So
And that
I can give the guy props for being a real producer.
Yeah, and that happens, right? It's give and take when you're in the studio with that stuff. But it's good that you obviously being open to those things because
Of
like
course,
we're in the
of course.
process of that now, so I know exactly what you're referring to. It's like you put everything into what you're doing, and then someone's like, "Why don't you try this?" You're like, wait a minute." But look how you're describing. Some of these things came out for the better.
Absolutely.
So you were on Stillborn, and then it was Electra right after that. So how did that come out? How did that work? How did that work itself out?
Well, after doing a lot with Hatebreed, Jamie did a lot for us in the beginning, and
Yeah.
he even hooked us up with his management. And
Mm.
you know, Jamie gassed us up to them, and they wanted to see us. So this is 2002. We were on tour with 6 Feet Under at the time, and we're in California. We get a phone call, and it's one of the higher ups in No Name Management, and he tells us, "Look, we're gonna buy out the whiskey for a day. We want you to come and play a show for us." And we were like, "Huh? Yeah, okay." So we had to take a day off from the tour. Like we couldn't play one of the shows, which sucked. But getting signed to No Name was a big deal to
Yeah.
us. And we showed up at the whiskey. There was nobody there. We were playing for 7 people from No Name Management, and the guy who ran it, Steve Rocker Richards, who's no longer with us, God rest his soul.
Mm.
He's like, just make pretend this place is packed and play as if you were playing to a full show, And it's kind of hard when you're watching a couple of old people down in the crowd looking at us like we got three heads, you know what I'm saying? But I guess they liked what they seen, and they signed us, and that was it. That's all it took, just signing with them. Because at the time, Hatebreed was on what was Universal.
Yeah.
So and
That was
they
around the
were
Perseverance era, right?
yes,
Right,
Perseverance.
Rise
It
of
was on,
Brutality, kind of around that time. Yeah.
yes. So they were on Universal. So No Name got us on Elektra, and that was it. And
Yeah.
from there, it just took off.
Yeah, for sure it did. How many songs did you play? Do you remember?
We played 8-song set list.
Oh, you just a set. Okay.
Yeah, we played a whole. They wouldn't. They wanted to hear more. They like every time we were like, "Do we need to play more?" They're like, "Yes, keep going, keep going." So we just kept
Was anything
going.
new in that? Was any new material in there at the time that would end up being on that record?
Um, yeah, we played well from the Integrity Defined Strength EP. My Misery and These Tears were on there, so we put them on As Real as It
Okay,
Gets.
that's right.
So we played those. Those were 2 new songs, and everything else was, we had. We also played SOB, which never got recorded on anything but that EP, and all the Negative Outlook stuff.
Right. And then so it was quick from there. Then you recorded and
And
it
that
took
was
off.
it.
It
Yeah,
took
because
off
that
from
was
there.
that was the summer of 2002, and in October, No Name came to the city. We went to the city to meet with them, and we all signed the contracts. And March 2023, that's when As Real as It Gets came out.
Right. And then it took off and you toured a lot of different tours for this, right?
My God, I don't think we were ever home.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think,
everywhere.
yeah, I think from like even prior to that the signing, we were just always like Jamie always had us on the road, always like, and he was great. Like he was partially, I guess, somewhat like our booking agent at the time because he did a lot of favors for us. He really pulled some strings. He was like, "Yo, you take Sworn Enemy, and I'll take whatever. I'll take these guys." He was always doing trades for us. That's how we got our first real big tour with Poison the Well. 2001, we were on tour with DRI. That was our first tour ever, DRI. And I mean, it was amazing. We did a full US with DRI, and this is a band I grew up as a kid listening to,
Yeah. Now you're
And
touring with them, right? It's
exactly.
yeah.
And then when we got home from that, Jamie's like, "Yo, look, I got you on the road with Poison the Well." I was like, me being a dumb person at the time, I'm like, who's Poison the Well, Jamie? I didn't know who the fuck they were. I really didn't because I wasn't into that style of music. It wasn't
right.
my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Don't worry, they're big. That's it." I'm like, "Listen, I don't care. I'm on the road. I'm happy. That's great. Thank you so much." And it was amazing, dude. Poison the Well dudes were some of the most awesome dudes I've ever met on the road. Like I've never been on a tour where, let's say, first off, every show was sold out across the whole entire United States of America. Every show was sold out, and every show they would get a bonus. They were so cool. They shared their bonus with all 3 bands on the bill. Like they shared it with Sparklights to Friction, us, and Unearth. They gave everybody a little bit extra every single night. That's how cool these guys were.
Yeah,
Like
you typically probably you don't see that.
No, you never see that.
Yeah,
hardly ever. I mean, maybe if some of the bands are like really cool and good friends with each other, but other than that, you don't really. I mean, that's insane. Like, who does that? And we were getting this from a band that they have no idea who the fuck we are, and here they are just taking great care of us, and it was awesome. And we wound up becoming good friends with them on that tour. Like we shared a lot of time with that band. Like they would come and hang in our van with us and drive to shows with us, and some of us would drive in their van and drive to shows with them, and it just became a really cool camaraderie we had with them.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And then it kept going and going and for you guys. And then I remember you did like an internet promo in like 05, I think, or give or take. You guys put out a couple of songs, I believe.
I don't even remember.
Something like that, from my recall. And then the beginning of The End came out, which ended up being on. How did you connect with Abacus at that point in time?
2004, we were playing with Full Force Fest in Germany, and Robert, who was one of the co-owners of Century Media, was talking with me, and he's like, "Well, I heard you guys, had some issues with Elektra, this and that, blah blah blah." He's like, "If you're looking for a home, I'd be more than happy to have you," because Abacus was like a subsidiary of Century Media. So he's like, get yourself a manager first, have him call me, we'll work something out. Because after the whole thing with As Real as It Gets and Elektra and them dropping us, No Name also dropped us too. So it wound up being a pretty shitty situation because, the dude took the money for a fee for getting us a whatever record label or something. I forget what the fee was, but and then he dropped us after he got paid. It's right management. That's how it
Yeah.
works, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was friends with Robert for a long time prior to talking to him at with Full Force Fest. Like we met earlier, and we just hit it off, and yeah, it worked. He wanted us, and we needed a home, so we wound
Yeah.
up going to Abacus for 3 records.
3 records, right? You had 3 records there from like it looks like '06 to '09, give or take,
Yep.
and then you had another album come out about 5 years later on Rock Ridge, and then
Yes.
your latest Game Changer, and that you put out that's really really good. That's like 6 years old at this point in time, which is
I
amazing.
know.
It's like
I know.
it's like wow, I like as it just hit me that it's that, but it's that. But you guys have a lot of material. You have a lot of albums, a lot of tours you went on. When you have an album that comes out, how do you go about setting up your track list? Do you look at it as like a live set or no, because it's an album? How do you go? Now, every album has a different story, a different theme, and the music, but how do you guys go about that?
I like to put the best song first. I want you to keep going. A lot of people have different ideas as to what to do with a record, and they say, don't throw all your eggs in one basket and put all your good stuff at the front, save some to the end. I don't believe in that because what if people don't like the stuff in the beginning and they might never get to the end?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're gonna save your best shit for the end, that makes no sense. Like I get it in a live performance when you're playing live. Sure, you want to make you want to put your always your bangers towards the end because that makes people stay for the show. It's different. People already know you then.
Hmm.
If you're putting out a new record, they don't know this record. They don't know what the songs sound like. So my in my perspective, it's to put the better songs in the beginning, keep people into it. Like, oh, this song is awesome. Let me hear the next one. Wow, this one's awesome too. Let me go to that, and
Mhm.
it's like a domino effect. They keep going down the track list. So that's how I like to do it. Some people do it other ways. Like I've heard some people say, "Oh, put your best song as your third song, or put your best song as your fifth song." And I think about this stuff. I'm like, I mean, I don't really know if that makes any kind of sense to me. Maybe the third song does. Maybe you have a good 1 and 3. Open up with a banger. Maybe the next one is a little less of a banger. Then your third one's another banger. This way, they're up again. Like keeps people motivated. That's what I think. My
Mhm.
personal opinion is you put your best ones in the beginning. That's how I
Yeah.
like to set it up.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it sounds like the philosophy of what you guys have done since the beginning.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
always.
Do you typically set the track list up or it's you work with the
Pretty
band?
much. Pretty
Yeah.
much. I like to think I said. I mean, if people have some opinions about something, of course we're open to everything's open. It's not. I'm not a tyrant. It's not. It's a democracy. Like I'll be honest. Sworn Enemy right now in 2025. I don't even take care of the band. It's not even my band anymore. I let the other guys take care of it. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like I had my time to do what I needed to do to take care of Sworn Enemy at the time. And to be honest, if it wasn't for these guys being as awesome as they are, I might not even be in Sworn Enemy anymore. Sworn Enemy might have retired a long time ago,
Yeah.
but these guys, when they first joined the band in 2010, 2011, like Jeff has been with me since 2010. Matt and Mike have been with me since 2011. So in all reality, these guys have been with me longer than some of the original
Yeah.
members.
10,
You know what I'm
15
saying?
years,
Like
15,
these,
15 years
right,
now. Yeah.
right. Jeff is the longest tenured guy in Sworn Enemy, except for me. He's longer than everybody else.
Yeah. Wow. If you think
That's
about that, right?
that's crazy, right? Just think about that. And people still like you still read stuff online and people posted, "Oh man, the OG lineup, I love that OG lineup." Half of those guys were in the band for 1 year.
Hmm.
Just because you've seen us on Ozzfest during that time in 2003 when it was a good time for the band, but I mean, the band I have now is just as good as the band I had then. You know?
Yeah, and you and I were talking about that when we played together. We played the Extinction AD record release at AMH. You were telling me that you're like, it's great. Like these guys have been with me almost as long or longer than the old lineup. You know, which is it's
Right.
amazing. Yeah, remember you saying that. So let's get into your live show a little bit. Yeah, you guys that was you guys killed it that night when we played together. That was you guys sounded great. You always did, you know, what playing live, but that there was
Thank
good
you.
seeing you guys again, you know, and you guys killed it that night. So, how do you go about structuring your set list? The set list is probably a little different in a way than the album track list because you have a big catalog to choose from in terms of songs. So, how do you go about structuring your set list? Obviously, it depends upon if you're headlining, if you're playing a fest.
Yes.
So, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, if we're not headlining, mostly it's like a 30-minute set, so there really isn't much to debate on a 30-minute set because we're playing what 9 songs max, maybe 8 because if I bullshit in between songs, we might miss out on some time.
Yeah.
So that's easy. We just straight up all every record has a banger. Put every banger out there that people want to hear. You know, that's easy. But if we're doing a headlining set, you know, if we're playing for an hour, I try to tell the guys, let's do more of like the older stuff. That's what people like. That's what people like to hear. You know, everybody wants to hear the old stuff. Everybody loves As Real as It Gets on some of the stuff off beginning to end, even though they have taken a liking to Game Changer. So we try to do more of As Real, a little bit of beginning to end, maybe throw a couple of other ones from Maniacal and Total World, and you know, we throw a couple from Game Changer on there.
Mm-hmm. Now, these songs, before you go out, if you do a weekend or if you do a week or whatever the case may be, these songs that you have to go over and practice, or is it, or they just they're kind of in the you guys
It's
have
in,
been playing them, you know?
it's ingrained in my
It's
brain
ingrained
right
in your
now.
brain.
The
Yeah.
only reason I like to practice, I like to see his like something that I like to do. You know, before a show, not before a show. I like to practice a day before a show. I like to get my voice raw again, give it
Mhm.
a day to rest, and then play. You know, that's always been my shtick. I always like to do it that way, even though it probably isn't really helping me much because I'll tell you, I mean, I go like, when's the last time I played? Probably that AMH show, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I played, but I will go without maybe months without screaming, and then I'll just go sing.
Yeah.
So I don't
And it's
really
just
like.
there and you can do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I getting up there in years, so now I kind of worry a little bit. I'm always asking myself, oh, can I still do it? Can I still do it? You know, but once I get on the stage, it's a different story. The adrenaline, I think, just takes over, and I still feel it.
Yeah.
But you know, one day I may not be able to scream my head off anymore. So that's why I do like to tell these guys, look, I need to practice, not for going over the songs. I need to practice just so I can get my voice ready.
Ready. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like
Not
the
going to work
songs.
and
Yeah, the songs are
you're not going to work and screaming and practicing like
right.
that, you know? So,
You know,
yeah, you
so
have to get yourself and voice ready for that for a long set.
right. Sometimes I have to like when I'm working, I'll just get in the car and I'll put the music on really loud, and then I'll just start screaming in the car.
Do that.
You know, I just start singing songs, whatever.
You know
Some
what? I've done that too.
sometimes
Yeah,
it helps, man.
yeah, it
Sometimes it
does
helps.
help because yeah, it does help because my wife and kids are here. I don't want to do it in the basement. You know what I'm saying?
They'll
So
think I'm a fucking lunatic if I start
they're
screaming in the
like, what are
house.
you doing? So yeah, I've done that even on the way to the studio recording. It just it
Right.
warms me up. It helps a little bit. Are there songs you wish you've played more? Because you just talked about how we'll pull a song from this album, that album. Are there songs that you haven't played in a while? You're like, damn, I like that one. I would love if we did that. If we did that one again.
We have a song on Beginning to End that we never played that I love called After the Fall.
Never once, huh?
Never once. Never once played that song ever. And I would like to play that one. There's a song on Game Changer called Justify. I would love to play that song. But I get why the guys don't want to play it. It's almost a 5 minute song.
Mm-hmm.
What kids today have an attention span for 5 minutes? None of them. Nobody. There's no such thing as attention span anymore. You know, back in the day, me and you, we could listen to stuff and it could be like a 7 minute song. And I mean, here we go. Perfect example. Half of Neglect's set list was
Yeah.
5 minute, 6 minute songs, were they not?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean,
they were.
and I still love Neglect.
Yeah.
You
They're
could you
great.
could cut you could cut the LSS in half and make two great songs out of it. That's how long it was. I mean,
Yeah, it was. It was because you're right. We grew up like me. I grew up in fourth grade into Metallica. Their shortest song was like 8 minutes.
exactly,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So I grew up with that, like, and you as well. Like we grew up with songs that were that
Yep,
long. And
one
you're
hundred
right about
percent.
Neglect. Like they awesome band. Their songs were longer. You know,
Yes, 100%.
they were longer. They were longer. So do you look at the street? Do you look at streams at all now, or it's more go about feel in terms of picking songs on the set list? I mean, you guys have your anthems in a bunch of them now, but do you look at like, oh shit, this one's streaming right now? Maybe we'll try this one.
Well, it's funny you say that because Seed to Hate is like on Spotify, like has so many streams, and I, I, I didn't think it was that strong of a song, and I still don't think it's that strong of a song, even with all those streams. I think it's more that's more like to me a song that you like to listen to that's on the record, but it's doesn't have the same energy live. You know,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I love the song. It's a great song. I just don't. You know, there's songs that you could play on the stage that you have the energy for and you feel it more than others. And that's just one of those songs I think is just it's a great song, just not a live song. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. It does. That's a great. It's a great song, but it does make sense. There's because Alex I had Alex from Crime and Stereo on here, and he was talking about songs that he has that they wish they play, and he's like, some songs are just more made for, yeah, the record, and
Made for record.
yeah, made for the record. You don't.
Yep,
That's not what you're thinking when you're writing it, but
of
sometimes
course.
that happens. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about that. So the Ozzfest experience, which was a long time ago. How many dates did you end up doing with that, and how was that?
It was amazing.
Training,
June
right? It had to be.
June 26th till September 13th. Not all those days were Ozfest days, because obviously, Ozzy didn't play every day. He couldn't.
Yeah.
He would play 4 times a week, and all the other days were filled in with we did off days. We would have most of our off days were filled with Cradle of Filth, Kill Switch, and Shadows Fall. Those were our off days. But
Awesome.
sometimes we would have Chimera and E Town off days. So it was we played every day. Like we never had a day off.
Mhm.
We played, we missed maybe not missed, but there was just one off day from June 26th to September 13th. One
Wow.
off day.
Probably
Played
like,
every day.
what do we do? This kind of thing.
Didn't know what to do, but actually I think we did go to the movies.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
funny,
always
right?
that was always a good thing to do when you got nothing to do. Let's go to the
Go to
movies.
the movies.
You know?
Now, how was
But
it with like? How was it like? It just figures you're backstage, all these bands walking around, and probably super
it's
cool.
not like that as you think. It's
Mhm.
the second stage bands stayed with the second stage bands, and the main stage bands, if they weren't on their where their backstage was, I guess they would be in hotels or whatever. Like, they get the main stage bands that year were Chevelle,
Mhm.
Disturbed, Korn, Manson, and Ozzy. So I'm pretty sure a lot of those bands, were being taken care of
Yeah,
they were at hotels or
a lot of radio bands too. They were those guys at the time. Yeah,
yeah,
so
like at 2003, those were some of the biggest bands at the
huge.
time, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, it was awesome. You would sometimes notice like David Draymond for instance from Disturbed. I had many times he would come and sit down. See me and Mike, we hung out a lot. Raf, my guitar player, we hung out a lot. With like two peas in a pod. And you sometimes David Draymond would just come sit right down at the table with us and just shoot the shit with us. He would watch us all the time. He watched Shadows Fall. He'd come to the second stage all the time and watch all the bands. Obviously, he liked Kill Switch because Kill Switch went out with
Yeah.
they toured with Disturbed, but a lot of these dudes were cool. The guys, his guitar player was real cool. Howie and Brian from Shadows, they sang Walk with Disturbed. You
Hmm.
know, they did a Pantera song every night with them, so it was cool. It was a fun festival, and hanging out with everybody was just amazing. It really was. Like that's basically what everybody says. It's rock and roll boot camp, man. It's like it teaches you how to be a band
Yeah.
while you're having a great time. And what I mean by teaching you how to be a band, you know, first day we get there, it's like a practice. It's a practice run. They want you to play you got a 25-minute set on the second stage, right? and it's rotating drum risers. So they have three on the stage. You know, the drummer has to be there 30 minutes before you go on to get his drums all set up and ready to go. And everybody backlines. Like, so when your band goes, you push up a little bit. The next band, push up a little bit. The next band, push up a little bit till it's your turn. Then when it's your turn, now you have 2.5 minutes to get ready. 2.5. And you're told this. You have 2.5 minutes to get ready. If you're 2.5 minutes, you're not ready, tough shit. That's your loss. You're losing time. And you have 2.5 minutes to get off the stage. We learned this the hard way, that they weren't fucking around. 2.5 minutes to get off stage. The PNC Bank Arts Center, the New Jersey show. We were on first at 9 o'clock in the morning. And
yeah, it starts early from what I remember.
Yeah. Right? And we were done. 2.5 minutes passed by. Larry was still twisted out of his face from the night before. Don't ask me how he played, but he played great.
He pulled it off.
He could always pull it off, even drunk off his ass. He forgot to take his shit off the stage for 2.5 minutes. You know what they did? They took his cabinet and his head and they threw it off the stage. And now, mind you, the stage is like 5 feet high, 6 feet high. And when I say throw it off, I literally mean they threw it off. They pushed it on. It was on wheels. They pushed it real hard, and it just flew right off the stage. They don't care. Wow. What are you going to do? You're going to fight them? That's it.
Yeah, you get kicked
off. That's it. You're done.
Did the amp break? I mean,
no, it didn't break. It still worked fine. You know what it is? The head he was using at the time, he would have to like hit it sometimes with a mallet to make it work anyway. So he always used to carry a mallet with him and hit the head to make it work.
That's amazing.
Dude, the stories I could tell you would be fucking unreal, you know? About some of the stupid shit that just happened on the road. Like, people would always ask, dude, why do you have a mallet on your head? He needed it to make it work.
And it worked.
Hey. And it worked. Don't it?
Hey. So it sounds like Ozzfest was amazing, but yet like there was a little intense with certain things. But hey, that's what it was.
It's a professional atmosphere. They don't look. You want to have a good time? Go right ahead, have a good time. But when it's their time, you got to conform to their time and do what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Like you said, it was boot camp, right?
That's
it.
You
probably learned a lot from that tour.
100%. It taught us how to be a professional band.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you kept going and going and going with that. So
yeah,
so let's talk about touring. So you guys toured a lot, like we said. How is touring and life on the road then than when you guys go out now?
Back then, sleeping in a van. It wasn't like that was it. We weren't making money back then. So,
yeah, even with Ozzfest and the off dates and all that stuff, right?
Dude, all right. Well, Ozzfest, I mean, we wound up getting an RV after like a month in, like a couple, maybe 3 weeks in. And that was like living in the lap of luxury for us, being in an RV. But when we were just doing regular tours after that, or even before that, most of the times we slept in a van. I mean, we were lucky we had a 15 passenger, so there was 4 rows for 4 people to sleep on while somebody drove and somebody rode bitch, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if there's 6 of us on the road, everybody's accounted for. We could take it, we could relax. Like somebody take turn and somebody else will go sleep, somebody take another turn driving, somebody else will go sleep. But I mean, hotels are few and far between. When we made a lot of money, that's when we like took care of ourselves and maybe we went to a Super 8 or a Motel 6. Mm-hmm. Just so we could take a nice shower once in a while.
Yeah, right. Because you're out for a while. So, like, what's it like now? Look, you guys are older now. We're old. We're
hotel every night.
Yeah, hotel. Like
it's gotta be
any other way. Yeah,
that's right. Look, somebody wants the band to come play. You want us to come here? We're not 20-year-old kids. I'm a 53-year-old man. I need to sleep on the bed. That's it. It's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. I'll drive to 8-9 hours. Like driving is. Whatever. I mean, we'll drive anywhere. Dude, we played a one-off in fucking Destin, Florida. We drove straight through the night, 18 hours, and then after the show, we drove home.
Wow, all in.
That's it.
That's incredible. Wow.
It was 3 days. We wound up taking a full 3 days. Like we did take a little bit to relax, because obviously you need it. 18 straight hours is a tough drive. And then 18 hours home it's another tough drive. And then, the day of the show, we took it easy, like, so we could be okay for when we got on stage. But
you had the van, right? I remember there was like the football game going on in the van. Was that yours at AMH?
Yeah, what we have is we have like the bus with the chairlift.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
ours. Yeah, I mean, it's
Well, you
that
need it
thing
when you're
is.
playing, especially if you're doing what you just described down to Florida.
Well, that's what we drove to Florida, and we've had
Yeah.
that for a long time. Like maybe 9 years. And
Oh,
Mike is handy. He's a
that's
he's a
huge.
carpenter slash mechanic slash everything. So he's your everything guy. And he put rows of seats in the thing. We got like an air mattress that after we can all relax. It's good. It's got a DVD player, television. It's all hooked up.
Yeah, I saw that. You had the football game going on in there when I was
Yeah.
in and out of there. That was
Yep.
yeah. So that's actually great that you have somebody that is can, God forbid if anything happens. Have you ever had any issues with it?
Twice there's some kind of belt in on that is impossible to reach without taking the engine out. So we were on the road and we didn't know this at the time when we bought it, that this is one of the faults in this, like in the system. And we had to take it to this 18-wheeler mechanic place to get it fixed. And it happened to us twice, and it was an all day ordeal to order this thing. And now we learned our lesson. So now we have extra of these belts
Just in case.
just
Yeah.
in case.
Yeah.
You can never be too safe.
Yeah, you're living to learn, right, man?
That's it.
So what's the future look like for you guys? I know by the time this comes out, I know you had a show in DC that was just announced in June.
Yes,
Shut
which
down.
shut down. Yeah.
Shut down, yeah. And then
Uh,
you have Bowery Electric, I believe you're playing in early May. So like that'll be a couple of weeks from now, if I'm correct.
May 4th. Yeah, that's
Right?
actually my bass player's birthday. So
Wow.
that's his birthday show.
That's
We got 3 shows in Canada with Brick by Brick. We're going back up there with them guys again. Awesome dudes. Love
yeah,
those
they're good,
guys.
great band. Mhm.
Yep. What do we got? This May 17th, we're playing with the Cro-Mags. Mm-hmm.
Where's
And
that?
I don't know. I
Somewhere.
forget. I have the flyer. I just every day this week I put a post out that says every day this week I was gonna post flyers in order of our shows. So I haven't gotten up to that one yet. It takes me a minute. I don't remember where it is. I know it's with the Cro-Mags. That's about it.
That'll be fun.
And Brick by Brick.
No, that'll be a good one.
Yes, I agree.
So are you guys have you wrote any new material or is there a plan to put so what's going on with some new Sworn Enemy songs? Or
I'd like to tell you that I heard it all,
heard it.
but I haven't, because these guys are like, I don't know what they're doing with it, but there's 7 songs. I think I might have heard like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay.
So they said they got 7 songs, maybe not like 100%, but 7 songs is a good start. I'll take it.
It's a very good start.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Now,
we need to do something.
Do you have any ideas of lyrics or anything?
Oh, I got a shit ton. I've been writing, when something pops into my head, that's what's great about the iPhone. I go right to notes, boom, I just start typing it right in.
Yeah. That's great. So you move. See, that's the thing now. You could move at the pace you want to move at. You have no one telling you what you need to do here. But when would you like to get moving on? Let's say recording.
Well, you always want to put out what I heard. You always want to put a record out in the first quarter. So if you actually sign it with a label and they're going to put it out, you want it to come out with the first 3. What is it? The first 3 months, first 4 months of the year, the first quarter. So, I mean, if you record in August, September, that's very doable.
Okay.
So if we can get something going by then, we could have something out early next year.
Nice. And what's the plan? Would you, and if you do that, obviously, nothing, are you guys at the point where you'll go tour for a month, or it's not like that anymore? You do kind of weekend things and maybe
more or less the weekend thing, I think. I mean, listen, if a tour comes up, sure, we'll take it. Like, if it's worth it for us, 100% we'll take it. Like, we're not opposed. We want to. This is what we want to do. We want to play. We love to play. Europe and stuff like that's different. That's like a different animal. You can go tour there whenever you want. And tour there for a month. I mean, I wouldn't recommend touring there for a month. I did it for a month, and make you stir crazy. You want to come home already, but 3 weeks max when you go to Europe.
3 weeks. Mhm.
Yes.
That's cool. It's exciting, man. So hopefully by the end of the year, you're recording, and you're getting some stuff done.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I hope so.
Cool. Excited. People want to hear that. I know selfishly I do too. So one last question here before we get into a bunch of questions where first thing come to mind. But what would say if you can go back, Sal, advice you give yourself as a teenager? It could be anything. It could be musically, personally, professionally, whatever it may be.
If me right now, 53-year-old me, go back,
You get into a DeLorean. Let's age us with the Back to the Future, and you go
uh,
back and you talk to Sal at like 16 years old. What advice are you giving him from your experiences?
shit, I'm not giving him advice. I'm gonna give him all the CDs of the greatest songs that ever came out and say, look, record these now because you're gonna be super huge. I would bring back a sports almanac. Definitely Back to the Future. Make myself a billionaire. No, really, I would be like, look, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you've lived a good life. I'm just gonna
Mhm,
let you know that right now. Everything's
mhm.
been all right with you. So
Nah,
no complaints, man.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, so I have a bunch of questions here. First thing that comes to mind, if you want to elaborate on it, whatever it is, whatever you want to
Sure.
do. So, what's your favorite tour you've ever been on?
Ozfest.
Ozfest, yeah. A
I mean,
band,
it's no
yeah,
question. That's
yeah. Even
it's the.
sounds fun. Even the part with the amp getting thrown, I'm like, oh, we're at the Ozfest, you know.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I laughed at him. When
Like,
they threw it off. Just I laughed. I'm like, see, it's you get for being an asshole.
a band you would like to tour with.
Slayer.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of touring? Kind of mentioned it before, but I wonder if that's
The 23 and a half hours that you're not on the stage is the hardest part of touring. Everything, the 30 minutes on stage is what it's all about. That's it.
that was my next question. Favorite part of touring, but
The 30 minutes I'm on
30 minutes
stage.
on stage. What's your favorite Sworn Enemy record?
Game changer.
Hmm. Good one. Favorite old Long Island venue from the mid to late 90s. And even go
Favorite
to the 2000s a little bit.
favorite old long on you. Well, I could tell you the one I had the most fun at, Deja One.
Deja One was the best.
That was the best.
Yeah, that was a
You
great
know,
one.
that was one of my favorites. I mean, I could have said PWAC, but I had more fun at Deja One.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. Same here. I saw you guys. You were on the Stillborn tour. I think it was at Long Island Zoo, like in '01, maybe. I saw you. Were you
Oh,
guys?
with Hatebreed and
Yeah,
Converge and Shadows Fall and God
so sick.
Forbid. That
It was
was,
crazy.
dude, that was one
That
of
was
the
a,
most
you got that
bloodiest,
show was off. That show was great.
one of the most bloodiest sets we ever had.
Yeah.
Like people were literally going to the bathroom bleeding all over the place after our set. I kind of felt bad. I mean,
Mhm.
but that was a violent show.
It was. It was.
Yeah,
That was a really good show. Just
awesome though. Yeah,
think of
awesome.
the bands you just named that were on that show. It's
What's
insane.
that?
Just to think of the bands that you just named that were
Oh,
on that show. That's what an insane show.
yep.
Wetlands or Coney Island High?
Wetlands.
Yeah, Wetlands was the best.
Wetlands was probably my favorite city venue, man. They had like, I mean, you have CBGBs too, but Wetlands was the joint for me. I loved it. The sound was amazing in that place. The room was great. The vibe
Never
was
a bad
awesome.
show, right?
Never a bad show ever.
Never. From playing there to like watching.
Yep.
Now, I wanted to ask you this in the beginning, but I felt like this would be a cool one-off question, and then maybe you could elaborate on it. But your favorite Castle Heights memory?
Favorite Castle Heights memory. The first time we played there with All Out War, like that was a pretty awesome show, and they were one of my favorite bands growing up. I mean, it's funny I say when I was growing up. Meanwhile, we're probably the same age group, but I listened to them before I was even in a band. So
Mhm.
it was that was a pretty awesome experience. Like you almost for me, I almost felt like that was like big time almost. Like you don't know outside the realm of Queens or Long Island because that's all I ever played, and to play with All Out War at that time was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, they were always a big band, but it's
Always, yeah.
awesome to see now how influential they are for a lot of the newer bands.
Oh, dude, for real.
It's yeah, they really, really are, and
Yep.
it's great to see. So what's the New York area venue that you miss the most?
That I missed the most. It's got to be Castle Heights. I mean,
Yeah.
I spent weekends there for years, and I didn't even sometimes I would just go there just to hang out. Like it
Mhm,
wasn't even because of a show. I would go to hang out with John and Kevin. They were always there, and it was a fun time. Go see Frank, hang out, drink a little, chill, relax. I mean, you could have a pop band playing, a punk band, whatever. I didn't care. It didn't matter. It wasn't about the music at that time. Going just to hang out because my friends were there. They worked there, and I just like to go there. That
mhm.
was one place I missed the most.
I'm wondering, what is that place now?
It is a Spanish restaurant.
Wow. Okay. What's the favorite show you went to? You've been to a
Favorite
lot.
show.
Mm.
It's got to be the Valentine's Day Massacre at Nassau Coliseum. Slayer. It
Mhm,
was. I had the best seats in the house. First row on the floor, and they actually had seats,
mhm.
and the seats were all chained together because they didn't want a mess being made. After their set, there was still a mess. Every seat in the place, except for like the first 7 rows, every seat in the place was in a mountain in the back behind, like super high, like mountain of chairs just thrown there. Like
Mhm.
people were not going to be denied dancing on the floor.
It's like
And it was a crazy show. I mean, it wasn't called the Valentine's Day Massacre for nothing.
nothing, right? It's like, what would possess them to put seats on the floor for a Slayer show?
Stupidity.
It just
Stupidity.
you're gonna if you're chaining them together, I think there's a sign that you probably shouldn't have them there.
100%, right? I mean,
It doesn't make any
just
sense.
think about it.
This is going to be a really tough question, and but that's why I like asking it. Favorite show you've played? Now, there's probably moments, but like something that sticks out. You're like, and you've honestly named a few of them in this
Favorite show
conversation.
I've played. As good as Ozzfest was, I've played better shows in I mean, I can okay, here we go. So it was 2004. We were playing Poland, and dude, like you have to like just envision this. Poland now in 2004, they're a poor country.
Hmm.
Like I remember we were driving on roads that weren't even roads. It was dirt still. They didn't have roads, I don't think, at the time. And we showed up at the venue, we started playing. I mean, it was insane. Like the people there would pick me up every 2 seconds. Like they were picking me up. I was like singing in like crowd surfing the whole time because they wouldn't let me go down. And then when they finally did put me down, I was like, go pick up the drummer. They were literally gonna go pick up the drums and make him play up in the. I was like, I was kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't pick up. Like it was so like the people there were just so grateful that like that show was. I mean, I had people asking me for my socks.
Wow.
Like one dude came up to me, is like, I don't have much money, but can I please have your socks? I'm like, they're the only pair I have left, bro. The tour was almost
Yeah,
over, and I had no socks.
kind of need
I
these.
don't. I kind of need these. But I mean, that's memorable. Like that they the people at that show made it amazing,
That's awesome.
and
That's
that's
really
why I've always loved Poland. Poland people always ask me questions about favorite places to play, and Poland's always been one of them. It's always one of my favorite places to play.
must have been like surreal too when that's all going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about you know Poland or touring in Europe or anything over there. This is all a new experience. Like our first tour in Europe wasn't the year prior, but it was the Resistance Pack tour, and we were on a bus. We had a bunk. We never had to get out of our surroundings. We would show up at the venue. We would get fed every day. Like that 2004 show. That was our first time going back, but just us.
Hmm.
And we were in a van, we were driving to all the places, getting hotels, hanging out all the time with the people, and it was really cool.
Cool. Sounds awesome, man. What's your top three albums of all time?
Age of Quarrel, Biohazard, self-titled, and I gotta say, Rain and Blood.
3 great albums. Oh yeah, you're going to be on the new Biohazard, right?
Yeah, we did some. A couple of us did some backing vocals, man. Cool.
That's cool.
And the new stuff sounds like it's vintage.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. What did you listen to last?
Perseverance.
Hatebreed.
Yep.
A band that you like or an artist that may surprise people.
A band that I like that may surprise people. I mean, I have a whole nother side to me, just not even in rock, metal, or hardcore. I love hip hop, freestyle. I love, you know, I love shit that people would be like shocked. So I would have to say freestyle.
Okay.
Like that's just the thing, though. Growing up, Italian kid, Queens, it was just normal to go to clubs and listen to dance music.
Right.
Even though I was a metalhead at the time, but I still wore my fucking Guido gear.
We all did at some point, right?
Exactly.
All right, last question here, man. Writing or performing?
Performing.
Performing, by far. Yeah, actually,
100%.
as I asked that, I'm like, just from us talking, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely going to say performing for sure.
Performing. I love playing live, man. It's the best. There's no other. It's like so people, they got their thing. Some people like to do drugs. Some people like to drive fast. I like to get on stage.
Mhm.
That's my drug. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I love
Yep.
to perform. That gets my adrenaline going. I get my blood pumping that way.
There's really nothing like it.
Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing like it at all.
And to be the front man, I don't have to tell you. You know what it's like. It's the best feeling in the world. Like all eyes are on you.
Mhm.
So you got to be a big ham. You got to love it.
For sure.
You know what I'm
Thanks,
saying?
Sal. This was awesome conversation, man. Anything you want to end with?
Hey, check us out, man. If we're coming to a spot near you anytime soon.
Yeah, put on a great show. Thanks, Sal. Hang here. I'm just gonna end it off, and then we'll wrap it up when I'm finished. Okay?
Yes, sir. You
All
got it.
right. Thank you for listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, available on all streaming platforms. Remember to save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify, featuring all the bands that have been on the show. For more information on future episodes, follow my Instagram account at What Lies Ahead _podcast and search What Lies Ahead podcast on Facebook. See you on the next episode.